Welcome to Tibalt's Apprentice. We are here at the Comic Bug in Manhattan Beach again, filming. A little bit different background, but still the same place. If you already know this, right? I mean, shop local. If you're gonna buy cards, buy them where you play and where you spend your time. Absolutely. If you can't, well, then go to the TCG player and use your affiliate link, Tibalt's Apprentice, to get the cards. But yeah, so we're here at the Comic Bug, and on the other side is the Game Hub. And so today's topic, I waited till the absolute last minute to spring it on you. It is threat assessment. When I bring up the words or say the words threat assessment, what's the first thing to pop into your mind?
I mean, just the most dangerous thing that'll take you out.
Okay. And at what point do you start considering that?
As soon as the game starts. As soon as I know which commanders are being played.
Okay.
And like turn order.
Right.
Yeah, I start thinking about threat assessment.
So right there at turn 0, you're like,
oh yeah,
you're weighing your options. Okay, fair enough. So with that, what's your thought process?
So yeah, I mean, but with that specifically, like, like generally each commander has kind of like a certain flow to them, right?
Sure.
Like some commanders are a bit quicker than others.
Right.
Some commanders take a while to get their pieces together.
Sure.
And so if I see, someone playing a commander that can pop off really quickly, and they're going first, like say, I don't know, like Urza.
Sure.
I mean, that's a commander that could go pretty quick.
All right.
Just from what I've seen.
Okay.
And so yeah, if they're like player 1, I'm gonna be focusing on what they're doing a lot.
So how far in advance do you plan your turns? Do you? Because as you already know, like my threat assessment's terrible. I will kill you for something you did to me 5 games ago, whether it be 5 minutes or 5 weeks. But that's fine. So I mean, I'm trying to be better about that. It's one of the reasons why I'm bringing up this topic. But generally, you strike me. We've been playing together for quite some time now. You're fairly methodical in your turns and how you plan things out. Would you say you're planning a few steps ahead?
At least like 2 turns.
At least 2 turns in
like 2 of my turns.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Obviously, if you're playing correctly, you're playing well, you're going to modify that depending on the board state, for sure. I asked you before we started filming, Kobayashi Maru, if you recognize that or knew what that was. And I'm sure for the Star Trek people, I'm probably misquoting it or mispronouncing it or whatever. But it's the thing, it's the test that they give their pilots, their commanders, or they give the officers that is a no-win situation. So they put them in this thing, and it doesn't matter. You're not supposed to win. It's just how you react to the stress of the situation. So I've got a Kobayashi Maru for you in a second. And initially, when I started to do this recording, I didn't have an answer for it. But in planning the episode, I actually came up with an answer. But we'll get to that in a second.
Oh, okay.
So here is the scenario.
All right.
It's an amalgam of a few different things that have happened to me before. We have 4 players, A, B, C, and D.
Okay.
You are player A. You are playing one of the slower decks. You're playing a combo deck. Takes about 5 turns to pop off before it could do anything, really. You've got turns. Okay, so fair enough. Okay, so casual, right? Casual. Now, the person immediately to your right or left. I'm dyslexic. I got it left. L, it's left. Okay, so the person to your left is clearly playing a deck that has virtually 0 interaction. You know they're going to pillow fort. Their commander is, I don't know, say it's a shrine deck or something of that equivalent. They're playing an enchantment, enchantment commander, legendary enchantment. They're going to start building that. So that's B. C player is a brand new player. Only been playing for maybe 6 months to a year. Tells you they're playing their first commander deck that they've built. Kind of used a blueprint of a pre-con, but it's all theirs. And then D, player directly across from you, is clearly playing, I don't know what else to call it except for like a constrictor deck. It's obviously a combo deck. Every piece matters. Every turn they're going to play value. They're going to build and build and build until they kill everybody at the table. Turn 0. These are the people that are playing. This is what you see on the board. How do your threat assessments begin at that point?
Okay. So player C is probably the lowest one on the totem pole.
Okay.
Just simply because, they're a new player, but on top of that, like more importantly, they're playing something close to like a pre-constructed sort of level deck. And so, the threat assessment from player C isn't as high as from B and D.
Okay.
Let's see. Gosh.
Is there a way out of this where it's fun, where you can make this work? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but how do you continue? Sorry.
Okay, so so how do you make it fun?
No. So actually, me throwing that in there, does that change it at all, or does it, or did you have a different plan before that?
No, I would say that. My plan then, D is a combo deck or constrictor deck like myself.
Okay.
Okay, and then player B is a pillow fort deck.
Yes.
And so that kind of puts player A and D kind of on the same level.
Okay.
Maybe.
Sure.
And then if B is pillow forting, I would assess player B as a bigger threat than player D.
Really?
Because pillow forting, in my eyes at least, is very similar to a combo deck, just that it's a slower build-up.
Right.
A combo deck can win in a turn, but a pillow fort deck is trying to gain value over time and then come at it.
Okay.
Usually.
Right.
Like that's usually like the win con, or they have themselves their own combo.
Right.
And so I would want to disrupt player D, periodically.
Right.
But I want to make sure that I take as much value away from player B as well at the same time. And that's one of the great things about Commander is that there's so many decision trees.
Sure.
That especially when it comes to threat assessment, because by the luck of the draw, a person can either whiff or they can get their threats out quickly.
One of the early things that I learned in Magic, one of the earliest Magic strategy guides that I got or whatever, and I'm going to misquote whoever it was, but they said, make the player have it. Instead of playing around counterspells, make them have it. Maybe they do. They could be bluffing. Don't ever put yourself in a position where I wish I could have played that out. You never know.
Right.
If you can, put that out there. All right. So your assessment, I would say, is pretty much the same as mine. But then I put that wrinkle in of saying having fun with it. Now is that a wrinkle for you, or is it?
No. I'd be having fun that way.
You'd be having fun making the decisions. Okay, fair enough. So I'm finally to the point playing this game where, for better or worse, I generally take into consideration other people's fun, whether they're having fun playing it. And it's something, I don't know, maybe that's something I need to get over, and that's maybe something I should pull back on if I would win. My win ratio would probably be better. I'm very much happy for new players. I mean, this channel is about building community, and it's about having that. And I don't have to get the win every time. I'm happy if I get 25% wins or less. It doesn't matter. I'm here to have fun. I'm here to see things that I have never seen before. That's part of the playing of it. Having said that, though, my initial reaction to this scenario, or scenarios like this, because I play regularly. I play here at the Game Hub on a regular basis. Every Wednesday they have Commander Night, so I get a couple of games in there. There's other local shops that I play at too. So I've been playing, something else that comes up here is I've been playing with a wider range of people, and a lot of people that I'm not familiar with their decks and stuff like that. You and I we've played as a pod. Our core four have been there for years now. Ever since Commander, we played Magic before that too. But that influences one thing. That influences threat assessment, of course. But playing against random people and stuff, I find myself having to be up the game. Anyhow, my point of this initially was having fun with it. My solution to this, and the only way that I saw for me to get out of the situation, or how to make the best of the situation, is politics.
Okay.
That is, to me, that is the solution. Now, this isn't supposed to have one right answer. It was just a question to get us talking here. But politics is the best solution to that, to have a good time. We've already had the rule 0. We're starting to play. In the most recent example that I can think of in my head, player 1 was almost playing solitaire. Or player B was almost playing solitaire because there. So a consistent disruption of their commander and commander tax slowed that down. I don't want to say the new player wasn't a threat, but like you said, it was the lowest on the tier level.
Right.
Until he wasn't. In the specific case that I'm thinking about, he had Vorinclex, so suddenly he's a threat. It shifts. Then we also have another player that's playing, and again, I don't want to get into specifics of who this was. I don't want anybody to think I'm salty about what happened or whatever. It just seemed like it was a good example because, again, I had fun. I had fun with the deck that I played because it was Kalia, so it's always going to be good for me. Anyhow, the other deck featured oozes. And they kept growing and growing in their power and stuff like that. So, again, playing Kalia, they were board wipes. So go over. To be had. Anyhow, I didn't necessarily win the game, but it was just my thought on threat assessment. Like, how is it important? When does it come into play? The most important thing, I think, is rule 0, and the second most important thing is have fun with it and use politics. Now, some people aren't comfortable with politics. What are your thoughts on playing politics through the game?
Politics, I view politics as like the equalizer in any sort of game.
Yeah.
Because you could have a player like really, they're going through their turns, going through their game plan, and if it turns into a game of arch enemy, like that person is, SOL.
Yeah.
Like
generally, you can't take on 3 other players and be
generally
speaking, you can't. Or you're playing something that's maybe should have been discussed a little bit more during 0. I don't know, but fair enough.
Yeah, politics. I mean, it really throws in that wrinkle in whatever your game plan or your supposed game plan was going to be.
Right.
Because if even if it's not like a game of arch enemy,
right?
Like any sort of wrinkle that can be put into your gears, so to speak, like to disrupt your plan, like that'll take you off the tracks.
Yes.
And that could be the difference between winning and losing.
For sure.
For sure. But politics are fun. Being a witness to politics often, and being part of the politicking that happens. It's good fun. It's good times.
Well, and I think my general feeling is, again, it's always the gathering. It's always the meeting of other people and playing that's the best part of Magic. I've seen in playing a wider range of people and stuff, so many people that are so focused on winning, and just let my deck do what I want it to do. Well, why are you playing Magic then? Why are you at a table where you're going to interact? You have to. You don't have to. You should be. I think you should be interacting.
Oh yeah.
That's my personal opinion.
Absolutely.
So I don't know. What do you think? So are politics an important part of your game? Do you like solitaire decks? Do you like decks that just run themselves? Leave those comments below. Like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for joining us. It's a little bit different, something just a strictly discussion this time. We will be back with some more deck techs, and thanks for joining me.
All right, my pleasure.
Thank you for joining us.